The tables are being turned on Donald Trump, and he is losing all control of this lawsuit that he filed against the BBC in federal court in Florida. Donald Trump alleged the BBC manipulated footage in a documentary that really nobody even saw, but he was so angry at the BBC regarding the January 6th insurrection, and he said, you did an edit where it made it look like I was encouraging the insurrectionists to walk with me to the Capitol building on January 6th as though I was the leader of the insurrection, and your edit spliced out space between, and now I feel that you've so utterly defamed me. As I've said, I gave you my opinion when that lawsuit was filed. I said, not only is this frivolous, but I don't think the BBC is just going to take this lightly, unlike, like the Wall Street Journal when they get sued. It's very much like, we'll just file a motion to dismiss and not do aggressive discovery. We'll stay discovery because of Trump and Murdoch's relationship. I said the BBC is going to go after this guy, and they're going to say, okay, you want to talk about defamation regarding the January 6th insurrection? Oh, yeah. And by the way, you're claiming $10 billion of damages. Okay, let's see your damages. We're going to subpoena the Trump Irrevocable Trust, and we're going to see how you claim that you were damaged $10 billion by us. Oh, by the way, didn't you sue the Treasury Department for $10 billion and claim that that cost you $10 billion because of a data breach? Didn't you sue the New York Times for $10 billion? And didn't you sue CBS and ABC? So you sue everybody for $10 billion? We want to know where you get those financial damages from. But you know what? Let's get into the merits too, not just the damages. You say that you're defamed because the way this was edited, you said, implied that you were encouraging the January 6th insurrection. Okay, well, turn over all of your text messages and communications and emails and diaries and calendar entries regarding the January 6th insurrection. We would like to know. You haven't turned over those documents to the January 6th committee. No one's been able to get that. But you, Donald, have now opened the door by suing us, and we're entitled to that. Why? Because you claim reputational harm as though you had nothing to do with January 6th. It's the core of your case. So turn it over. And then Donald Trump's like, well, you better turn over your documents, BBC. Here we go. 500 document requests we're sending to you. BBC goes, okay, here are our responses. 40,000 documents, privilege log. We'll respond to the discovery because that's what you do in litigation. You have lawyers. They go through things. It's expensive and costly and tedious, but you respond. So the BBC's responded to their discovery obligations. Surprise, surprise. Trump's turned over no documents, no emails, no communications. He says, you can't ask the Trump Trust or the Irrevocable Trump Family Trust. They're third parties. They have nothing to do with it. Well, that's where you keep all of your money in the trust. So, of course, they're going to want to subpoena the trust. Oh, you can't ask us for communications regarding January 6th. Why? Why, says the BBC? The case is about that. You claim your reputation was defamed. It's the heart. It's the central cause of action that you've brought. Of course, we're going to make it about that. We can't wait for trial, Donald, to put you on the witness stand and ask you questions about the January 6th insurrection, because you're a private citizen, Trump, when you sue us for $10 billion. You're not President Donald Trump, and we, the BBC, are not backing down. Or just dismiss your lawsuit. Notably, on June 5th, there was a deadline for Donald Trump to respond to the BBC's motion to dismiss. Get this, Donald Trump and his lawyers just blew the deadline, did not respond. So the judge, Roy Altman, federal judge in Florida, said, this is a court, so why didn't you respond to the deadline in a motion to dismiss in a lawsuit that you filed? Should I bring sanctions against you? To which Donald Trump's lawyers rushed in and said, Judge, we're so sorry. We're so sorry. It was inadvertent. It was an accident. He's just so busy. We've got the war in Iran. We've got all of these things going on. So please just give us more time. Please just give us more time. So you have that going on right now, and the judge still needs to rule, what am I going to do with this motion to dismiss? And the fact that Donald Trump did not respond to the BBC's motion to dismiss in the first place. Before that, you had Trump's lawyers try to disqualify the judge. Oh, you're so unfair. You're not going to treat us fairly. That got denied. Now they're not turning over financial documents. They're not turning over documents regarding January 6th. And now they're saying they're too busy. And we have all these filings and this paperwork where Trump refuses to participate in the litigation. I may sound like a broken record right now, because I say this in all of the legal analysis hits that I do, but this is what you have to do when you litigate against Trump. More broadly, anybody who stands up to this guy wins, but it's not easy because he's relentless with the disinfo and the threats, and he keeps coming back. But you stand up to him. Yes, he'll whine, he'll manipulate, he's a fraud, he'll do all of that, but you will win. You're seeing the BBC do that right now. But I could talk more broadly in other contexts about Iran. I could talk more broadly in other cases like Abrego Garcia. I could talk about Letitia James. I could talk about E. Jean Carroll. But let's talk about BBC right here, because they're showing yet again that now they've got Donald Trump cornered. He brought the lawsuit. He wanted the headlines. Now he's missing deadlines. It happens every case. Missing deadlines, attacking the judge, not producing the records, missing this, sloppy this. I want to bring in Harry Litman from the Talking Feds YouTube channel, Substack, and podcast. Harry, it's so easy to predict and sad because this vexatious litigant, and by the way, vexatious, that's the terminology that another federal judge in the Southern District of Florida used before Trump won the latest term in a footnote when Trump and Alina Habba were sanctioned over $1 million in a frivolous RICO case that was brought for billions of dollars as well, saying this behavior is the peak vexatious conduct that we warn about. And so the fact that the president of the United States, while holding this office, the presidency that I used to look at, as a child, the presidency, the White House, DC, he goes around like he's some, and I don't mean to, I'm not trying to be offensive here, but I'm giving a real life example, like a 5150 from a prison who starts filing all of these documents that courts are like, all right, we have to ban you from filing. That's the president of the United States filing these things, but he's got unlimited resources. He's got a line of lawyers who don't care about what happened to the previous ones before, and they're just willing to sacrifice their legal career. They don't give it. It's crazy that there are more lawyers like, yeah, I know what happened to the other group. I want to do that too. And here you have the predictable result, Harry. What do you make of it all?
First, it's just, the point you just made, Ben, I hadn't thought about before. It's a really good one. It's been 10 years of this crushing corruption. I'm just thinking of kids who, maybe they're 15 now and they came of consciousness with Trump as the president. What do they think about government, about the presidency, about public service? All that stuff has been so soiled. But to your point, look, you're not the broken record. Trump is the broken record every single time. If you get involved in litigation, that means you have to be ready to answer questions. It just goes with the territory. I still do a fair bit of litigation on the plaintiff's side, and you got to be ready for the defendants to, take their licks and try to score points. And Trump is the classic guy who can dish it out, but he can't take it. So I think we really do have Taco Trump here. Now, what they are saying, what Trump's lawyers are saying is, oh my Lord, Judge, they're trying to make this into a trial about January 6th. Yeah, I guess so, because the cause of action here, what Trump is saying was an unfair practice and deceptive on the BBC's part, is they took two parts of the speech that all of us saw. They were, in fact, separated by 50 minutes. They stitched them together and apologized for that stitching. But it seems like you have Trump first saying, well, we're going to go down to the mall and then we got to fight like hell. And they supposedly gave that impression of like, oh, he wants you to fight like hell at the Capitol. Is that, if it goes to trial, it's completely germane. The whole heart of his lawsuit is that somehow that was deceptive. Okay, well, I got a lot of stuff I want to know about what he did and said January 6th and before, and I want him as a deponent in the deposition chair, where, by the way, he's proven himself again and again to be the world's very worst client who just fumes and avoids and bobs and weaves and then essentially takes his ball and goes home. My best guess is he will take his ball here and go home. But they propounded, as you say, a ton of stuff against BBC. That's showbiz, if you will. And BBC responded. And now he wants to say, but I don't have to play. What that means is I get to score points in the PR arena and get the headline hit and say I'm suing, as if that means I know I'm right and I've got them on the run. And then there's always, when it comes to court, there's a payday, right? Okay, here you are. You made these allegations. Sit down. Let's hear about them. And by the way, you better raise your right hand too and answer the questions of the person you're trying to get all this money out of. And at that point, more or less always, right? We've seen a few disastrous, deceptive, and misleading depositions on his part, but he always tries to get out of facing the music. He really, can dish it out, but he can't take it. So I think this is one other crappy lawsuit by Trump. He's brought it under Florida state law, which I think he thinks will somehow help him, but he's been he's a serial abuser of the litigation system, mainly because he doesn't have good causes of action and he's just looking to bring headlines. And BBC, one other little point here, English law and defamation is a lot harder for defendants than it is in the States. So the BBC is really used to the hurly-burly of fighting cases where the plaintiffs can win just by showing something's false. So, they're not going to be shying away. They've got time-tested litigation tactics to say, we want to hear from you, Mr. Trump, and I just can't see it, right? I think it's going to be Taco Trump showing up when the BBC comes to call.
Right. And I think the reason why he brought it under some state law consumer statute is because Florida has a pretty powerful anti-SLAPP, these strategic lawsuits against public participation or public policy, these lawsuits, so that if you lose the lawsuit, it creates an earlier burden or easier burden for someone to challenge your lawsuit early on. And then you're subject to all of these attorney's fees if you brought it as a defamation case and then lose right away. But it really doesn't matter. I mean, what it was looking for was a frivolous hook to try to tie down the BBC in attorney's fees and costs, get your headline $10 billion, fundraise off of it, and then try to basically push this out for, basically your ceasefire cycle, right? 60 days, 60 days, 60 days, 60 days, then there'll be skirmishes. Then hopefully it just drifts into the past and the background. The issue is that nothing drifts into the past and the background. This stuff causes irreparable reputational damage. I mean, this is why before The Apprentice, which was, a fraudulent portrayal of Donald Trump, in my view, his reputation was that of a con artist, a fraudster, a bankrupter, and just an overall just awful human being. And when these types of tactics we see in this case are used as the philosophy for how America conducts business in the world, it becomes more than this is a vexatious and frivolous litigant who loses in the case. It's we are non-consensually, who didn't vote for him, put on this team, on this boat in America that is now drifting with these fraudulent schemes. And I can make the direct parallel to vexatious litigations like this and rushing into wars and other international debacles. Okay, Donald, you threaten that you're going to go after China and that you're going to tariff them. And they go, okay, got it. We're doing a trade war. We're shutting down, giving away our rare earths. What happens? You remember last April, markets tank. Donald Trump goes, okay, we're doing a deal we'll figure it out. We'll do this deal with China. In May, they announced something. Then he went back again last month and had the meeting and then it gets pulled in this ambiguous and vague cycle. But ultimately the damage is done to us, to him. He doesn't win in this. No one wins in this. It is mad. It is actually mutually assured destruction. Anything you want to say, Harry?
Yeah, just a final point here. We've begun already to sort of hold our breath and think 2028 and his being out. But for Donald Trump, this is the ghost of Christmas future. He is going, whenever he leaves office, to be greeted by a fusillade of civil lawsuits and who knows about criminal stuff that we'll put to the side. But this is him for the rest of his life, obstreperously claiming things and suing, but also getting sued, people trying to depose him, having no argument about, the Iran war is keeping him so busy, Your Honor. It's a sure thing, it seems to me, that the chickens will come home to roost. Or we did another thing about Katie Fang's great suit against Todd Blanche. It'll be, I think, Katie, bar the door. These suits are gonna be coming, and that's gonna be his main vocation after he leaves the presidency, I think.
Just such a freaking predator, man. Like, don't file these lawsuits if you're not gonna do what's needed in the lawsuit. This isn't me speaking as a Democrat or a political. If you think you've been wronged, filing a lawsuit's a very serious thing. You're bringing people into court. You're taking away resources of taxpayers and judges and time. If you think it's a real lawsuit, if you thought you were harmed by the BBC, meet your freaking deadlines, submit your discovery, go in front of a jury, argue your case, and just shut the hell up with the stupid whining. I'm just so sick and tired of the freaking whining and the missing of the deadlines and the unprofessional behavior. It's just
so are 1,000 judges, Ben.
It's just grow the hell up. Anyway, make sure you all subscribe to Harry Litman. But you still have people on the Supreme Court who normalize this, and you still have people who are too smart that sitting, whether it's a John Thune in the Senate, and just why are you letting this little man baby behave like this as a freaking man or a woman, as a human? Anyway, subscribe to Harry Litman.
I got one other point because you just raised. That's one thing about the Supreme Court. We talk how the district courts are been so much stronger. They're seeing it. They're feeling it. They're getting lied to their face. They're having their discovery orders completely abused. It all comes up on a cold, abstract record to the Supreme Court. But district courts of all stripes, including Trump appointees, are seeing this vexatious is the right word behavior. Everybody who comes to my courtroom plays by the rules, but not you, the President of the United States. Give me a friggin' break.
Everybody subscribe to the Talking Feds YouTube channel. Search Talking Feds and make sure you subscribe. Harry, tell us quickly about the event you have on July 3rd.
Oh, yeah, great. July 3rd, Talking San Diego. We do one-on-one conversation, and we're doing it with California Senator Adam Schiff. Just go to talkingsandiego.net for all the details and for tickets, which I can accurately say are going pretty damn fast. So go for it if you want to see me in conversation with Senator Schiff next Friday.
Thanks, everybody. Hit subscribe here as well.
Thank you, Ben.
New Meidas merch. Head to store.MeidasTouch.com today and get yourself the best pro-democracy gear and show your support. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.